Hello, my name is LG, and this is part one of the TAP series brought to you by Step Into the Light that has been very generously funded by the Joseph and Eugenia Family Foundation and the Jackson Heritage Foundation. Now, for this first episode, we're going to talk about the very basics of the art of tap dance. So, tap dance is a combination of rhythm and movement to make percussion in the genre of dance using pieces of metal on the bottom of your shoes, as so, right? So, what we're going to go over today is that there are single sound movements, double sound movements, and triple sound movements. So, single sound movements are usually broken down into this step takes weight and this one does not. So, the very first one I'm going to teach you is basically walking. It's a stamp and a stomp. So, what it is you're doing one whole-footed movement to basically walk onto that foot to make a sound. You're making one sound with both pieces of metal at the same time. So a stamp takes weight. A stomp does not. So typically when you're first starting this out, you're going to want to try to just make your stomp end in the air so you know it doesn't take weight. Or if you're stamping, it is. And a good way to remember it is a stomp has an O in it, so no weight. And a stamp, it's like you're stamping something, so you stick it. So a good warm-up for practicing weight changes for stamps and stomps, you can go stomp, stamp, stomp, stamp, stomp, stomp, stamp, clap, stomp, stamp, stomp, stamp, stomp, stomp, stamp, clap. So what you do with that is you're learning how to change your weight there, and it's filling up one complete bar of music. So I'll let you practice it on your own. Ready? Stomp, stamp, stomp, stamp, stomp, stomp, stamp, clap, other side, stamp, stomp, stamp, stomp, stomp, stamp, clap. The next single sound movement is basically the same thing, except you only do it with one part of your shoe. It's the ball of your tap. The ball is the front tap where your toes are. Yep. So there's a step and a touch. So a step is you're going onto the foot. Your heel stays off of the ground. So you step on it. So just repetitive steps like you're walking but with no heels is step, 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 step. Notice how my heels do not touch the ground. You're just stepping, no heels, right? Now a touch is the same thing, except you don't put weight on it. So if I'm touching with my right foot, my weight's on my left foot and I just touch. Or I can touch and leave it on the ground, but there's no weight on it. So I pick it up so I can do my next movement with this foot. So you can do the same warm-up that we did with the stamps, where you go touch, step, touch, step, touch, touch, step, clap, touch, step, touch, step, touch, touch, step, clap. I'll count you in so you can do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, and touch, step, touch, step, touch, touch, step, clap, touch, step, touch, step, touch, touch, step, clap. Now, when you're doing your warm-ups, what you can do is go from the stamps straight into the steps. So you can do stomp, stamp, stomp, stamp, stomp, stomp, stamp, clap, stomp, stamp, stomp, stamp, stomp, stomp, stamp, clap, touch, step, touch, step, touch, touch, step, clap, touch, step, touch, step, touch, touch, step, clap. Something you're going to want to pay attention to when you're doing this warm-up is making sure after you clap, you're starting on the other foot that you originally started with. That's why it's broken down the way that it is. The next few movements are all going to be single sound movements that don't take any weight. So whenever you're doing these steps, whatever foot you're standing on, you're going to end the movement on the same foot. Okay, so the first one we have is a brush. A brush is done with the ball tap again, where it ends in the air. So you would go down onto it, brush forward. So there's going to be a small slide, and it makes the sound. Okay? Now brushes can be done in any direction. So you can brush front, brush side, brush side, brush back, brush front, brush side, brush side, brush back. Right? So brushes are very important as a single sound movement because it's the foundation for very many of the double sound movements that we'll get into in the next episode. Okay? Now, the second one is called a scuff. Now, a scuff is a brush, but with your heel. So you would pick up your foot, and instead of using your toe for a brush, you use your heel for a scuff. Okay? So you can scuff front, scuff side, scuff side, scuff back. Scuff back kind of feels weird, I know, but don't worry, you won't have to scuff back too often. So you scuff front, scuff side, scuff side, scuff back, scuff front, scuff side, scuff side, scuff back. If you'll notice in my body when I'm doing those things, there's like a slight bounce when I'm doing that. And something I'm going to say now, because a lot of people when they're learning tap dance get very focused on their feet. They don't realize it's a genre of dance, so your entire body has to be encapsulated when doing this, right? So as I'm moving, you'll see my arms are doing some of this movement here. Is to help keep my body lifted. And there's a slight bounce to it because you want to keep a light feeling. You never want to lock out your legs. You want to have kind of a bent feeling to it. And you just want to feel light and bouncy when you're doing it. So let's go ahead and pick up our right foot. And we're going to do scuff front, scuff side, scuff back. And then we'll do brush front, brush side, brush back. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Scuff front, scuff side, scuff back, scuff front, scuff side, scuff back. Brush front, brush side, brush back, brush front, brush side, brush back. I'll count you in so you can do the same thing. Heel first. 1, 2, ready, and scuff front, scuff side, scuff back, scuff front, scuff side, scuff back. Brush front, brush side, brush back, brush front, brush side, brush back. Good job. So the last single sound movement that we're going to go over today are more movements that don't necessarily take weight, but can under occasion. So these are digs and toes. So a dig, like before when we did our scuff, a scuff into the air. A dig will land on the ground. That doesn't mean it takes weight. It just means that you're digging the heel into the ground for whatever that sound is, for whatever the next movement is going to be. Okay? Now the next one is a toe, where it's the same thing, but with a toe. You pick your toe up and you drop it on the ground. Now that does not mean that this takes weight, but it's basically just this or this. Okay? So you've got dig, toe, dig, toe, dig, toe, dig, toe. That one's very, very simple. Just remember that they don't take weight because you can use them as transition steps. Okay? So, a quick recap. We talked about single sound movements and how some of them take weight and some of them do not. It's very crucial when you're practicing these single sound movements that you really focus on which ones do and which ones do not. When we get into the next episode, we're going to go into two sound movements, and it's really crucial that you know which ones do and which ones do not so that you're not falling over the place when we go over them. So, just really focus on that before the second episode and everything should be fine because these first bits are super easy and you can practice them with or without shoes. So, I'll see you next time.